So one of the things that I started on early in my career was B2B e-commerce. I thought that was a big opportunity in the market. Businesses needed to get online, sell their products online. I think typically most people don't really want to call in to order anymore, especially if they know what they want. They want to be able to go online and place an order. Most of our kind of B2B supplies and furniture and things like that are bought online at Trellis. So what's interesting to me is I think a lot of people underestimate how hard it is. It's definitely not the same as business to consumer e-commerce. It's a lot more complicated, a lot more difficult. Some of the key things that we see can be challenging for companies is one, having corporate accounts. So normally you'll have your customer registration, but you have something what's called corporate accounts with B2B e-commerce, where you might have a company account, and then within that company account you might have a bunch of different users with different permissions. Some might be able to buy, but some might only be able to like create an order but not necessarily make the final purchase. There might be like an approval process. So you have this kind of concept of corporate accounts that can be pretty important. You might have massive catalogs. That's obviously very important because you might have hundreds of thousands of products, which is oftentimes more complicated than the typical B2C company. The other thing that you might have to deal with is the ERP integration might be really robust. That can get really complicated because you might have this inventory system that's super important, and then all of a sudden that has to fully match into your e-commerce system. Pricing can get really complicated. We've seen things where every customer has a different price. So obviously you can imagine managing that in e-commerce can be very challenging, and having all the prices in real time be accurate, and sometimes that has to come from the ERP system. Shipping can get complicated because a lot of times you're shipping more than just like a small box. You might be shipping an entire like thing that goes into a giant truck, and that goes beyond like the basics of like, you know, basic UPS or USPS. So all of a sudden shipping becomes this much more complicated thing. You might have multiple payment methods like purchase orders, net 60, net 30, credit lines. You might want them to pay down their credit line. So these are some of the features, and I could probably go on and on and on, but these are some of the common features that we see that come up, and you can see how this adds to the normal general e-commerce complexity, and getting this all working well is not easy. So you really want to think through all the things that you need. I definitely recommend not necessarily trying to do everything all at once. Maybe start with the key things that you need and add some stuff for phase 2, phase 3, and ongoing, and improve the site once you launch. So you don't have to start with everything, but it's good to kind of know what you could have and what you might need for the future and start to plan around that.